Well, we stay in Zimbabwe now. Recent court rulings over the leadership of one of Zimbabwe's opposition parties, the MDC-T, founded by Morgan Tsvangirai, seemingly settled, well, the dispute when the courts ordered that a faction led by Dr Thokozane Khupe are the legitimate holders of the MDC-T and that Ms. Khupe is its interim leader. Now, a special congress of the party is to be held on the 31st of this month, and one of the presidential nominees is the party's current Secretary-General Douglas Mwonzora. He joins us now via Zoom from Harare. Thanks so much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you very much and thank you for inviting me.
All right, so are you going to be the next leader of the MDC-T founded by Morgan Tsvangirai?
Well, I do not know. It is up to the delegates who are going to do first the nominations, and then after that, there will be a formal election. The system within the MDC is that a person is nominated by the provinces that we have, and then after receiving at least a nomination, then they go to they are put on the ballot, and on the Congress they will be elected. It is up to the MDC delegates themselves, and if they are to give me that honor, I will be able to serve in that office. This is because we have always been fighting for democracy in this country. We have been fighting for values, the values of democracy, freedom, justice, equality, rule of law, solidarity, the social democratic values. So it would be an honor to serve my party, it would be an honor to serve my country if I was to be given an opportunity to do so.
All right, so you say that you've always been fighting for democracy and, as your party's name suggests, for change. But from people on the outside looking in, it looks as if that the MDC is specializing in faction fights. And I just wonder if wherever Dr Tsvangirai might be sitting watching, he can't be happy with what's happened to his party.
Well, I agree with you there, but let's trace to where this came from. First of all, there was a Supreme Court ruling regarding who the legitimate leaders of the party were, and that the party must go for extraordinary Congress. For me, this was a very, very simple thing. We go to the extraordinary Congress and elect a president, legitimate president. But other people have refused to abide by the Supreme Court ruling, to abide by the constitution of the party, and we certainly do not agree. So what you see is a fight between forces of democracy and forces of conservatism and dictatorship. We hope that we are going to have our extraordinary Congress and put these fights behind us. We need to focus on the job ahead, which is a job to bring democracy in Zimbabwe. Our aim is to take government under power through peaceful, democratic, and constitutional means, and change the lives of the Zimbabwean people for the better. We hope that we will be able to focus on 2023. We will be able to focus on bringing key political, economic, and social reforms in this country, so that we put Zimbabwe on a developmental trajectory that leaves nobody behind.
But how are you going to do this? Who supports your party?
Well, this is a party which enjoys mass support. It is supported by Zimbabweans. Remember, this is a party that won elections under Tsvangirai in 2008. It performed very well in the presidential election in 2018. But it is a party that enjoys mass support. And
hang on. Let's stop right there, because when I look at the results, it says that the MDC Alliance President, Nelson Chamisa, got 2.152 million votes. Thokozane Khupe of MDC-T, only 45,000 votes. It would suggest that the masses of people who are in opposition support Nelson Chamisa and the MDC Alliance.
No, your analysis isn't correct in the sense that there were two MDC-Ts. There was the MDC-T that was in the MDC alliance. This is the MDC-T faction that was led by Nelson Chamisa, of which I was the Secretary-General. Morgan Komichi was the national chairperson, and Elias Mudzuri was the vice president. So we have three top officials who were in that MDC-T. And then we have the MDC-T faction that was led by Thokozane Khupe. This is the one in which that you are talking about as having garnered 45,000 votes.
All right. So did the voters know that they were voting for the MDC-T that's not Chamisa's?
Well, the voters knew that they were voting for the MDC-T. They also knew that Nelson Chamisa was the presidential candidate for sure. They also knew that we were the leaders of that party. So it is fair that we share the popularity there, we share the votes there. We contributed to the 2.1 million votes that you are talking about. We were the top officials there. I was the Secretary-General, and Morgan Komichi was the national chairperson of that party.
All right. So what Congress did you go to then in 2019 where you tried to be Secretary-General? I saw Nelson Chamisa there, elected president at the same Congress. So what were you doing there?
No, what happened is that we went to a Congress for the MDC-T again. Again, it was a faction of the movement for democratic change, Tsvangirai. This has been settled by the courts who have ruled that the two congresses, one held by Thokozane Khupe in 2018 April, and the one held by ourselves in Veru, were factional congresses. So the effect of the Supreme Court ruling was to bring these factions together, and they were brought under Thokozane Khupe, who was ruled to be the legitimate successor of Morgan Tsvangirai, at least on a temporary basis. She was ruled to be the valid deputy president.
But you stood next to Nelson Chamisa for many years, and in fact, once you tweeted that a story in the Herald today suggesting there's infighting between Nelson Chamisa and myself post-election is false and malicious, typically designed to sow seeds of division within the MDC alliance. I remain focused on the people's struggle. You were once very close to him, I would imagine. What's gone wrong?
What has gone wrong is that, first of all, he is refusing to follow a court order, a simple court order. Number two, he is refusing to follow the constitution of the party. And if you look at my background, I am a constitution maker. I was the co-chairperson of the parliamentary committee that wrote the constitution of Zimbabwe. I have been a law lawyer for many years. I have been a law lecturer for many years. For me, constitutions are not there for decoration. They are there to be followed. And if you follow your constitution, the local constitution, the party constitution, you can convince Zimbabweans and the world at large that you are a candidate fit to follow the national constitution. So that is difference number one. Difference number two is the involvement, to allow the involvement of Mugabe's former henchmen to take an active part in the party. I respectively disagree with that. So my differences with Honorable Chamisa are not personal. There are differences on the basis of principle, simple principle. We have a court judgment. Do we follow it or do we not?
Okay, so let me ask you this. The Movement for Democratic Change, it was formed to cause change in Zimbabwe, and that meant getting out ZANU-PF. Does it matter who is in charge if you have common cause and common purpose, and that's to get the opposition into power? I would put it to you that had you learned your lessons in 2008, when that first catastrophic split happened, if the MDC had not split then, you would have won the election. This split now continues to make the opposition weak, surely.
As long as we abide by the principle, the founding values of our party, as long as we abide by the constitution of the party, the rule of law, as long as we go back to the values, the social democratic values that we stand for, the values of freedom, justice, equality, solidarity, and the rule of law, it ought not to matter who the head of the party is. But the difference that you see in the MDC right now is a difference emanating from the failure to follow constitutionalism and the rule of law, which are fundamental values within our party. Our struggle is the democratic struggle. That must be predicated.
We're running out of time, unfortunately. And the last thing really is just to say, people think that this MDC-T is a project of ZANU-PF and President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Your thoughts on that?
We were formed a long time ago. That is totally rubbish, if I may say. And let me just tell you how I feel when those accusations are made to me. And I think I feel exactly the same way that Chris Hani would have felt if he were to be accused by his colleagues in the struggle that he was an agent of apartheid. He would have been mad. This is exactly how I feel. We have developed a difference in opinion over a very simple matter, the court judgment, the following of the constitution. That does not make us ZANU-PF. This is simply the label and condemn a method that is a relic of communist dictatorship. We have nothing to do with ZANU-PF. The fact that there is ZANU-PF to be fought by the opposition does not justify us not following our own constitution. It does not justify us not abiding by the principles for which we were formed.
Okay, Mr. Mwonzora, we've had to leave it there this evening, but I hope we can talk to you again because there's so many issues to unpack, and I think a lot of Zimbabweans and people around the continent would love to get into those details a bit more. So maybe we can chat again in the near future.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right, so that's the Secretary-General of the MDC-T party in Zimbabwe, Douglas Mwonzora, who is putting himself up for the running of the presidency of the party. And we'll find out at the end of the month whether that plays out. All right.